Well, Lemonade, where have you been? Busy. I'm excited to actually get here, though. Here we go. The house is a mark left behind. A mark left behind. Here we go. The house is quiet, except for the ticking of the clock in the hallway. Celestia laid wide awake in the bottom bunk. She turned over again and again, trying to get comfortable, but the burning sensation on her arms wouldn't let her. Above her, Carson shifted, too. He hadn't really fallen asleep either. "Are you still mad?" he asked quietly. Celestia stared at the wall. "No," she whispered after a long pause. "Just tired." "What's that glowing?" Carson sat up, peeking over the edge of the top bunk, noticing it was coming from under his sister's sleeve. "Let me see." "No." So, come on." Reluctantly, Celestia pushed up her sleeve. From the pale moonlight spilling through their window, Celestia could just make out the faint glowing pattern along her arms. They looked delicate, almost like cracks in glass, but swirling and alive, pulsing softly with every heartbeat. Carson's eyes widened. "That's not normal." Carson, the smartest man ever. Celestia pulled her sleeve down. Celestia pulled her sleeve back down, back down, curling into a ball. "Yeah, I know. You are being way too casual about this. You need to, go to the hospital, man. That's not healthy." They sat in silence for a while longer. The wind howled against the window outside. "Do you think," Carson said slowly, "this has something to do with the river?" "I don't know, Har." Neither of them spoke after that. They just laid there in the dark, listening to each other's breathing while trying to fall asleep. No way this is healthy. The sun barely rose over the horizon the next morning when Carson's alarm went off, a soft buzzing on the dresser. He groaned, slapping it off, then peered down from the top bunk. Celestia was still bundled under her blanket. "So," he whispered, nudging the mattress with his foot. "Wake up." No response. That's not good." He frowned and hopped down, landing with a soft thud. "Celestia? Come on, we'll be late for school." Still no answer. A cold would wake her up faster, he thought to himself. He decided to pull the covers off and immediately froze to what he saw. Celestia's arms, even under the dim morning light, looked worse than last night. Strange glowing patterns that darkened, almost like they were sinking deeper under her skin, branching up her wrists and along her shoulders. "Celestia!" he said louder, panic creeping into his voice. Her eyes snapped open. Startled, she sat up quickly, looking around like she didn't recognize the room for a moment. Then her gaze softened when she saw Carson. "Sorry," she muttered, rubbing her head. "I'm up." Carson pointed to her arms. "We need to show Mom." Let's just stiffened immediately. "No." No fucking way she's gonna do this right now. "You don't get it. It's worse, Cell. Way worse." Before she could argue, Randy's voice floated down the hall. "Kids, breakfast is ready. Let's go before you're late." Carson grabbed Celestia's wrist to take her into the kitchen, but she slapped his hand. "Car, I know it's getting bad, okay? I can feel it. But if Mom and Dad see it, they'll freak out. I don't want doctors or tests or them looking at me like some broken science project." Her voice wavered a bit. "Just let me wear a hoodie. It's my body. Let me deal with it. No. No, that might be killing you." For a second, it looked like he wanted to argue again, but then he really looked at her, the way she gripped her arms, how tightly her jaw was clenched, the shimmer of something close to tears in her eyes. He didn't want to push her any more than he had already. Okay. I won't say anything yet. I'm not gonna stop worrying about you, Sal. I'm your brother. It's my job. No. He watches Celestia slid on a dark hoodie that covered most of her arms. The fabric rubbed uncomfortably against her skin, but it was better than the stares and the questions from her classmates. The twins both walked into the kitchen quietly. Serenity was pouring orange juice into small glasses, humming softly to herself. Her eyes lit up when she saw them. "Morning, you two sleepyheads," she said cheerfully. But her smile faded a little as her gaze lingered on Celestia. "Sweetheart, you're walking funny. Are you sore?" She noticed how stiff her daughter's movements were. Celestia slid into her seat with a small shrug, tucking at the sleeves of her hoodies. "I didn't sleep very good," she mumbled. "Just tired." Serenity crouched down beside her, brushing some hair from her face to feel her forehead. "Are you sure? You feel warm." Yes, she does. Take her to the hospital." "I'm fine, Mama," Celestia insisted, turning away from her mother's gaze. Carson sat at the other side of the table, picking up his fork to stab a sausage. Zachary came in, adjusting his tie before walking to the counter. "Morning, love." Serenity stood to kiss him on the cheek, but he brought her closer. Cut her off guard, but she melted into his touch nonetheless. Both paused for a second longer before pulling away. Zachary grabbed his coffee off the counter, taking a long sip. "Everyone ready to leave in 15 minutes? "Yeah," Carson said. Celestia nodded. "All right then. I'll start the car." I swear she just fucking dies because of this incredibly bad idea that she's doing for no reason. By the time they arrived at school, the morning haze lifted a bit. Celestia felt like she was walking through fog. Her hoodie was too warm and itchy against her arms, but she kept it on, too afraid of what others might say if she didn't, like go to the hospital. Serenity held both twins' hands as they walked in. She smiled at passing teachers and parents, masking her concern behind her usual warmth. Celestia could tell, though, her mom's grip was just a little too tight on her hand. "You both be good, okay?" Carson nodded right away. Celestia did the same, a little slower and hesitant. As Serenity walked towards the staff lounge, Celestia and Carson headed to their classroom. Other kids rushed by them, laughing and chatting, but Celestia stayed close to the wall with her eyes low. That's when Jessica's voice rang through the hallway. "Oh, look, it's our favorite friend." Her boyfriend Tyler snorted beside her. "Didn't think you'd show your face today. And why are you wearing a sweatshirt? It's almost spring." Jessica smirked and stepped in front of Celestia. "You heard him, weirdo. What's wrong with you then?" This is the most aggressive kids ever conceived. Celestia clenched her fist but said nothing. She tried to walk past, but Jessica blocked her again, shoving her just enough to knock her into the lockers. Carson stepped in between them fast, his face burning red with anger. "You don't get to talk to my sister like that. Leave her alone." Jessica rolled her eyes. "Do you always have to be the hero? Maybe let your sister fight her own battles instead of hiding behind you. I'm not asking. Back off." Carson snapped, his voice sharper than usual. Tyler laughed, but before either of them could say more, the bell rang. "Whatever," Jessica muttered, grabbing Tyler's arm and turning away. "Let's go." As the two walked off, Carson turned to his sister. "Are you okay?" Celestia didn't answer right away. Her fingers trembled at her sides, her fists still clenched. A faint reddish glow pulsed beneath the sleeves of her hoodie just once, like a warning spark. That's definitely not good. "I didn't do anything," she whispered. "I know. Don't let them have the satisfaction getting you down. I got your back, sis." Feeling reassured by Carson's words, They both walked into their classroom. She's just like the worst person ever. Why are they so mean? Like, does no one else wear hoodies? Like, am I the only one that's wore a hoodie in the middle of spring because you just like the way it looks? Is that just me? The classroom buzzed with the soft clatter of pencils and quiet chatter of morning lesson began. I wouldn't describe it as soft clatter. I describe it as ear grating. Sunlight streamed in through the windows, painting long stripes across the desk. But for Celestia, everything felt distant, like she wasn't quite there. She sat near the back of the room, away from the windows and the clusters of loud kids. Carson was only a few seats away, close enough to keep an eye on her, but not close enough to help if something went wrong. Her head felt heavy again, like there was pressure behind her eyes and her thoughts. She blinked, trying to stay focused, but every time the teacher's voice droned on, it blurred the background noise. Her letters in her textbook didn't look right. They shifted when she stared too long. And then came the heat, not from the sun or the air in the classroom, but from inside her. Beneath her skin, a low thrum started. It was flaring up again. She shifted in her seat, tugging at her sleeve, secretly hoping it won't stop. Celestia's fingers shook against her pencil, and her eyes drifted out the window. Then someone spoke in her head, a faint, sickly voice that made her blood chill. Let go. Her pencil snapped in her grip. That's bad. That's really bad. She better not get bullied again, because she might just fucking kill them. Celestia flinched, breath catching in her throat. Her hands were trembling now, not just from nerves, but from the growing pressure of the strange energy crawling through her wildfire. The room swam for a second. She couldn't breathe. Celestia? The teacher's voice broke through, sounding distant. Celestia blinked rapidly, forcing herself to sit up straighter. I'm fine, she croaked, barely getting the words out. She shut her eyes tight, begging whatever this was to go away. Her whole body tensed as she focused every ounce of energy into shoving it back down where it came from. The pulsing stopped. Her lungs finally expanded again, her arms feeling normal. Then the dizziness hit her. Her teacher watched her a moment longer, clearly not convinced from her earlier statement. She turned back to the whiteboard to continue her lesson. Send her to the emergency room or something. Why is everyone trying to ignore this? She's going to die, or someone else is going to die. She goes into a psychotic rage from the demon that's clearly possessing her. Get a doctor, a priest, or some shit. Actually, never mind. Don't let the priest around the children. Alright, next part. Lunchtime chats. Oh boy, this ought to be good. Why is there 7? I'll look at that after. Soon the lunch bell rang and everyone filled into the hallway. Once they reached the cafeteria, it was already packed with hundreds of kids. Loud conversations and laughter echoed from all around, while the twins waited in line. After getting their food, they found a good, secluded lunch table to sit and chat. What was going on with you in classes? I was, she took a bite of her PB&J that she packed for lunch. I hope that was properly packed, because if not, that is soggy as fuck. I couldn't focus when then this voice in my head. Carson raised an eyebrow. Voice? Yeah, it was telling me to let go, so I forced it to stay quiet. It made my head hurt a lot. So, I don't even understand what's going on with you anymore. This is a lot, and it's so confusing. Well, duh, Car. I'm the one going through it. She nudged his shoulder playfully with her elbow. Not really knowing what's going on is scary for me, too. Carson leaned in, lowering his voice. You're not going crazy though, right? Still feel like yourself? She hesitated, not entirely sure herself. She couldn't tell if the voice was still there, waiting for an opportunity to catch her off guard. Well, yeah, I'm feeling way better now than I was earlier. If you say so. But if anything feels weird, like crazy weird, let me know, okay? I don't want you to shut me out. I want to be able to help you, even if you don't really know how to yet. If I don't really know how to yet. Sester leaned in for a hug. I know it's hard for the both of us, but we can figure this out together. I already feel safer with you on my side. He hugged her back tightly. When they pulled apart, they noticed a girl approaching him. She had curly dark hair tied into two ponytails and wore round green glasses that were a little too big for her face. Because of course they were. Hey, she said brightly. Is this seat taken? Celestia and Carson looked up at her, not expecting someone to come over and talk to them. Hardly anyone did, especially during lunch. No? Carson finally said, getting over that unexpected visitor. You can sit with us. Awesome! She slid into the seat across from them, setting down her lunch tray after adjusting her glasses. She gave them a smile. I'm Laura. I just moved here a few weeks ago. Nice to meet you, Laura. I'm Carson, and this is my sister, Celestia. Twins, right? You two look a lot alike. Celestia nodded. That's so cool. I always wanted a twin, or at least a sibling that's not obsessed with his frog stuffy. Carson snorted. A frog stuffy? Yeah, his name is Lord Fropolis III. My little brother carries him everywhere. Celestia cracked a smile. Sounds like dedication to me. Oh, you don't even know half of it. Watching him give the toy his food at dinner is terrifying. Celestia laughed a bit. Ooh, I am definitely sitting here from now on. That laugh was adorable. Oh, here we go. Carson raised an eyebrow. Do you compliment everyone with a cute laugh? No, I like your company too. Laura grinned. You guys just give off good vibes. And trust me, that's rare around here. Celestia tilted her head. We've only been here a few weeks though. Exactly! Laura leaned in a little. Long enough to know which kids are mean, which teachers are scary, which bathrooms not to use after gym class. Carson snorted into his jukebox. Noted. They all chuckled. Celestia found herself relaxing more than she expected. Laura was loud and quirky, but something about her energy felt safe and easy, washing her worries away for the time being. So what do you guys usually do at recess? Laura asked, scooping a bit of applesauce. Depends, Carson said. Sometimes they play tag or just sit under the tree near the fence. I like sitting, Celestia said quickly, fitting with the wrapper in her sandwich. It's quieter there. Laura nodded. Cool. Want some company today? I don't really have a group of friends yet. Celestia and Carson shared a glance. Yeah, Carson said, smiling. We'd like that. Laura grinned, bumping her shoulder playfully against the table edge. Awesome! You're stuck with me now. As the lunch bell rang again, signaling the cleanup time, the trio stood together, Celestia in the middle, flanked by Carson and Laura behind her. For the first time all day, the wind in her chest didn't feel so heavy. Maybe, just maybe, today wouldn't be so bad at all. And we still have 3 more chapters to go, so I don't know if that's true or not. Also, I'm gonna go get some water. I'm not cutting this out, by the way. Some hot... That... Now that is some high-quality water. Alright, next part, shall we? Ignored warnings that you've been doing this entire time. Every door slammed shut behind Zachary as he stormed into his office. Plenty of maps, reports, and half-scribbled notes were scattered across his desk. He stood there for a moment, catching his breath, trying to quiet the unease, I'm sorry, that sentence confused me. He stood there for a moment, catching his breath, trying to quiet the unease, twisting feeling in his chest. Just then, someone knocked on the door. "Come in." Josh stepped in, brushing specks of dust off his blazer like the village wasn't on the brink of war. "I assume you've read the latest patrol reports?" Zachary said, barely masking the frustration in his voice. "I've seen them. Fading bloods on the ridge, stolen concrete." "It's not nothing anymore," Zachary snapped, jabbing a finger at the paper. "They're getting closer. The force line's been breached twice this week, and people are starting to whisper." John shrugged. "Then let them whisper. If you make a big deal out of this, you'll stir panic." Zachary walked around the desk slowly, eyeing him down. "I'm not trying to stir panic. Unlike you, I'm trying to protect this village." Josh gave a dry laugh. "Always so noble. You act like you're the only one who cares." "No," Zachary said sharply. "I act like someone who doesn't sleep at night because he's trying to figure out how to keep our people alive." Josh's smirk faded. Zachary's verse more controlled but no less intense. "Do you even remember what happened 5 years ago? Or do I need to remind you what it cost us?" He ran a hand through his hair. "I'm holding the town meeting before the week's over," Zachary continued, turning back to his desk. He picked up one of his marked patrol maps, slapped it flat against the table. "We're going to inform our people, give them the facts, and keep them calm, not blind. We've had plenty of time to prep for this. I think we're ready, unlike the last time." Josh scoffed. "And if you're wrong, if you lose control of the room, you'll lose control of the village." Zachary met his gaze, eyes shadowed with exhaustion. "Then I'll be relieved. But if I'm right and we say nothing," his voice hardened, "we'll have blood on our hands. I'd rather lose it doing the right thing." Silence hung in the air for the moment. Finally, Josh straightened his jacket. "Yourself. When things fall apart, don't act surprised when people start pointing fingers." "Close the door on your way out," Zachary muttered, already turning back to the reports. "Don't forget who's still in charge here, Zachary. I'm giving you the ability to do this." Josh left without another word, the office door clicking shut behind him. Zachary leaned on the desk, bracing himself with both hands as he stared down the map. Dots of ink marked the village boundaries and patrol paths, the little red marks that tracked sightings, movements, and breaches. Too many, too close for comfort. He sighed before sitting up slowly. It was time everyone knew the truth about what happened in Westfield. "Oh shit." Let's take them out. The town hall of Westfield wasn't used too often. Bake sales, weather prep, neighborhood disputes, sure. But tonight was different. A row of chairs filled the room. Villagers packed shoulder to shoulder. Farmers, tradesmen, young parents with toddlers in their laps, while waiting for the news. Zachary stood near the front of the folded paper in his hand, though not taking the time to look at it once. The soft murmur of the crowd carried through the hall, but his focus stayed locked in the door as it creaked open one last time. Josh entered with his arms crossed, setting off to the side of the room like this was some play he'd already seen the ending to. Zachary stepped forward. "Thank you all for coming," his voice carried through the crowd, silence filling the room. I'm sure you've heard all the rumors. You've noticed the extra patrols, the watchtowers at the edge of the woods. Some of you have maybe even seen the shadows near the borders, signs of movement we've been tracking. Paused to scan the crowd, seeing familiar and tired faces. We haven't said anything until now because we didn't want to give life to fear before we had all the facts. But we knew now, and you all deserve the truth. Ripple of fear moved through the crowd. The Phantom Bloods are active again. They've been watching the village, testing our borders. We don't know if or when they'll strike, but I won't let history repeat itself. Gas broke out, people shifting uncontrollably. Someone in the back whispered, "It's happening again." Zachary raised his hand gently. "I can say for certain this is not like 5 years ago. We're more prepared now. We've reinforced the village border. We've set up rotating watches. We've improved our communications between sectors. We have learned from our past mistakes." Josh cleared his throat loudly. "We have no confirmed threats. Let's not turn this into some unwanted havoc. I can assure you it isn't. It's preparation," he answered without missing a beat. Zachary stepped down from the front of the room and walked closer to the people. "I know fear. I've lived it, and so have all of you. But fear isn't what protects us. We have to take action. The Phantom Bloods prey on our disunity, distraction, and doubt. So we'll face this the only way we can, together, as a community." Older woman near the front raised her hand hesitantly, her voice tingled with worry. "What about our children? Shouldn't we keep them home from school?" "We're not under lockdown," Zachary replied calmly. "But stay alert, walk in groups, and report any suspicious sighting. I will also be putting together a volunteer neighborhood watch for those who want to help. This is not meant to cause fear, but to raise everyone's understanding of our current situation." Josh shifted silently against the wall, arms crossed as he eyed down Zachary. "Where's my water?" Get the fuck back here. I have to keep shifting this blanket because it gives better mic quality. Josh shifted silently against the wall, arms crossed as he eyed down Zachary. Zachary let out a slow breath. "There will be updates posted daily at this very spot. I promise you, no one will be left in the dark again." There was silence, then a few nods, murmurs of understanding, and a few rounds of applause. Slowly, voices rose again, neighbors turning to neighbors, asking questions and offering help. The fear hadn't vanished, but something sturdier taken root beneath it. Resolve. A few people began to approach Zachary, asking about the patrols, offering to volunteer, and curious to know if the stored supplies were still safe. He spoke with steady patience, giving each question his full attention, even as the weight of exhaustion pressed his eyes. Josh pushed off the wall and walked towards the exit. He didn't look back at the door. Zachary stayed until the last of the chairs had emptied. Alone in the hall now, he stepped back up to the front of the room. His gaze swept over the vacant rows, the echoes of voices still lingering in the rafters. He thought of Celestia and Carson, how quiet she'd been that morning since incident, of how hard he'd worked to keep Westvale safe, not just for the people, but for them. He folded the paper still in his hand. Never once had he looked at it. Then finally, he exhaled, left the hall, locking the door behind him. New friends. The sun had finally broken through the clouds by the time recess rolled around. The kids poured onto the playground like a tidal wave, like laughter rising above the sound of the creaky, rusty swings. You should probably get those replaced. Celestia stuck close to Carson and Laura as they walked towards the quieter side of the yard, past the jungle gym and shouting groups of kids playing tag. They stopped under the trees that lined the back fence. Laura tossed her backpack under the tree and spun around. Okay, new playground code. This spot's officially ours. No takebacks. Carson raised an eyebrow. Is that a rule, or did you just make that up? Both, Laura said proudly, dusting off her hands. Now come on, who's up for a drawing contest about my sketchbook? Celestia smiled faintly and nodded, but the wind made her flinch. It was just a breeze, but it was cold and sharp around her arms. Aren't you wearing a... Never mind. Something about it made the dull throb in her forearms flare up again. She sat down slowly, cradling her arms. Her sleeves had ridden up a little during lunch, and she could still feel the faint pulsing underneath. So? Carson dropped next to her, concern flashing in his eyes. I'm fine, she mumbled. Just the wind. Laura flopped onto the grass beside them and pulled out her notebook. See, do you guys like drawing? I bought some extra pencils. Sal does, Carson answered, still watching his sister. She's really good at it. Celestia didn't answer right away. She stared down at the blank page. Poor Laura passed her fingers twitching slightly as she picked up the pencil. Her grip was too tight, but loosening it made the pulsing worse. Here, Laura said softly, scooting closer. You don't have to draw anything serious. I usually just do frogs wearing crowns or cats wearing jetpacks. No pressure. Celestia blinked at her, then let out a small laugh. That's really specific. Exactly. Chaos is where art is born, Laura grinned. Water. Carson relaxed a little at Celestia's laughter, though he didn't let his guard down completely. He noticed every time she winced or rubbed her arm. They spent the rest of recess in their little corner, sketching nonsense, telling stories, and trying to ignore the noise of the other kids. All right, I'm done. Laura held up her drawing for the twins to see, beaming like she'd finished a masterpiece. Celestia tilted her head. What is it? It's obviously a frog, Laura said, offended in the most dramatic way possible. But not just any frog. Behold, Sir Croxalot, a noble knight of the Puddle Realm. Carson squinted at the page. Is he wearing armor made of leaves? And wielding a spoon as a sword, Laura added proudly. Resourceful and fashionable. I like her. Celestia giggled, covering her mouth with the back of her hand. He kind of looks like he's about to fall over. Excuse you, he is charging into battle. Laura flipped the sketchbook around and held it close to her chest like it was a sacred relic. You'll see. One day Sir Croxalot will be famous. Anyway, what did you draw, Celestia? Oh, nothing too special. She handed them her drawing paper. Carson took the page first. Is that a baby giant dragon with tiny socks? Celestia gave a small smile. He gets cold feet sometimes. Laura laughed so hard she almost fell over. I like where your head is at. She patted Celestia on the shoulder. Just then the bell rang to announce the end of recess. The playground erupted with groans and the sounds of kids scrambling to gather the things. Laura sighed dramatically, flopping backwards into the grass for a second before popping up again. Well, back to reality, she muttered, brushing leaves off her skirt. Sir Croxalot's quest will have to continue another day. Carson stood up and offered a hand to his sister. She hesitated just a moment before taking it. Her arm still ached, but her smile came easier this time. As the three of them walked back towards the school building, Celestia lingered between them, Carson on one side, quiet and watchful, Laura on the other, already rambling about her next art masterpiece. Today was fun, Laura turned to the twins after reaching the front steps of the school. Carson nodded. Definitely more fun than usual. Celestia managed a small, genuine smile. Yeah, it really was. Laura gave a quick, dramatic salute. Then it's settled. We're hanging out again tomorrow. Same tree, same time. Well, without waiting for a reply, she daffed off towards the sidewalk, waving over her shoulder. Long live Sir Croaks-a-Lot! She shouted before disappearing around the world. Wow, she sure does know how to make an entrance, Carson muttered, watching Laura vanish around the corner. Celestia snorted softly. And an exit. The two of them stood there for a moment, the afternoon sun washing over them before dipping lower behind the clouds. There you two are! They both turned around to the familiar voice waving and walking over to them. Hi, Mom. Carson hugged her tight. Celestia did so more slowly, her hands tucked into the sleeves of her hoodie. She didn't say anything, but she leaned gently onto her mother's side. Trinity placed a hand on each of their backs, her touch light but reassuring. You both doing okay? She asked, glancing down at Celestia with quiet concern. Made a friend Wait, what? You made a friend to that... Wait, there wasn't anything before that. Made a friend, too, Carson spoke up. Her name's Laura. Laura. She drew a frog knight. A frog knight? Serenity's raised an eyebrow. Celestia gave a tiny smile. Sir Croaks-a-Lot. Serenity chuckled softly. That sounds like a friend worth keeping to me. She checked her watch, then glanced towards the pickup lane. Your dad should be here any minute. Did you two eat enough lunch? Yup, Carson said with a nod. I ate a little, but I wasn't really hungry. Celestia muttered. That's all right, sweetheart. She brushed a few stray strands of hair from her daughter's face. Your cooking is better than theirs anyway. You think so? It's just from our cookbook at home. Yeah, but you always make it taste better than anything they give us here. Serenity smiled down at the Celestia, her eye softening from the reassurance. Well then, she said, brushing her hand gently over her daughter's back. I guess I have to make something special tonight. Not the soup with the green bits, right? Carson made a face. Carson, that's spinach. And it's good for you. It tastes like grass. Carson, do you be eating grass? Do you be eating grass, Carson? Carson, you're not supposed to be eating grass. Celestia let out a small giggle, the first real one Serenity had heard since that morning. But before Serenity could say anything about it, the familiar It's the ghost again. But before Serenity could say anything about it, the familiar sound of Zachary's truck pulled up to the curb. He parked and stepped out of his truck. There we go. Coming. Nice. It's me. I'm back. Everyone loves me, right? Okay, here we go. Okay, let's try and finish this line. But before Serenity could say anything about it, the familiar sound of Zachary's truck pulled up to the curb. He parked and stopped out of his truck. He gave them a tired smile while making his way over. Hey, fam! He crouched in front of them for a hug. He's so fucking corny. Carson ran into his arms without hesitation, nearly knocking Zachary over. Whoa there, buddy. Zachary chuckled, scooping him up in a tight hug. They feed you at lunch today. Rocket fuel? Carson giggled. Nope, just spaghetti. Zachary turned to Celestia, opening one arm. You too, Gigglebug, come here. Celestia hesitated, but stepped into his embrace. He pulled her in gently, careful not to squeeze her too tight. Long day? He asked, brushing his hand lightly over the back of her head. She nodded into his chest. Mm-hmm. Zachary looked up at Serenity as he held both kids. Their eyes met for a brief moment, and hers said everything she hadn't yet. Keep an eye on her. He nodded, his smile faltering a little. He'd seen that look before. He stood and ruffled Carson's hair. All right, let's go home. You're wondering why I was gone so long. I was dog-sitting. And also, I was just lazy yesterday. That was very nice. But we need to go back, though. Because... What do you mean you got comments? You don't be getting comments. What the fuck you mean you be getting comments? Now let's read this. I love how lively and relatable the characters are. Carson and Celestia's siblings' bond is so genuine, and Laura instantly adds some spark to the scene. I'm curious, do you plan to explore Laura's backstory more, or keep her as a fun, mysterious new friend? My God, this made my day. Of course it did, Ninja. I'm so glad you enjoyed the story so far. To answer your question, I really thought to write about Ninja. Glad to hear it. Do you think Ninja might with him definitely around? It's good for him. Definitely something I'm gonna have to take into consideration. I'm gonna run a virus block in the moment, but I'm slowly working my way through it. Totally understand. The writer's block. It happens for the best of us. While reading this chapter, I imagined something for your character that I cannot see now. It's the kind of thing you probably smile at, but I don't really want to smile here. No, okay. They posted their discourse in public. I'm gonna have to assume that they're okay with that being in the video, because why would you do that in public unless you weren't okay with it? Alright. Yeah, that was good.